The bootin'.
All right. Party people in the place to be, Vandals, and anybody that's excited for a brand new Big Tuesday. This is a brand new edition of How Did We Get Here, our Big Tuesday, and we're actually kind of doing a topical discussion here. We're going to be covering the new Disney Plus Marvel show Echo. But we're also first going to be talking about the source material from which she came, the original 2 Daredevil arcs that kind of brought her character into the world. We're going to be talking about Parts of a Whole and Vision Quest, written by David Mack, pretty much both of them, but also has art by Joe Quesada or Quesada, however you prefer. And we're going to get it deep into that. And I got to say, man, I absolutely love these comics. Like, Parts of a Whole is my second favorite Daredevil comic story, and Daredevil is my favorite superhero, definitely my favorite Marvel character. So I'm just really down to talk about this finally, and I'm really happy that we can kind of talk about it and why it's relevant right now. And but before we do that, man, do you have a check-in, Joey?
Oh, yes, I do. This week, I definitely have a check-in. Mainly shows. Started watching Fargo. Whew. Gotta tell you, season 5. Oh, it's really good. Really good. I think we just have I think there's one episode left. I think there's just the finale left. We've watched everything up till the finale, so the first 9 episodes, and it's been excellent. And from what I've heard, I'm probably going to follow that up with some True Detective, which from what I heard, the first episode was pretty good. And also, what did
who's in this new season of Fargo?
Shit.
Anybody famous?
Yes. What's his name? Mad Men. John Hamm. He plays he plays like one of the main villains, if you want to call him that. And you got the girl. The main actress is the girl from what's her name? From Ted Lasso. Have you ever watched that? No, eh?
No, I haven't seen it yet. Oh shit, Dave Foley's in this? Right on.
Oh yes, he plays the lawyer for the rich family. Jennifer Jason Leigh plays the big CEO of the company, and he is like he takes care of all the family stuff, and he's really good in it. He's like, everybody's on point. Like, everyone is excellent here. I'll go and check this out. Let's see. I should have had it up on my thing to check right away, but it's not a big deal. It'll take 2 seconds to check it out. Yeah, you have the main actress is Juno Temple, British actress. You've probably seen her in a lot of stuff. She's done a lot of smaller roles. So
she was in Killer Joe. She was like she's like a kind of like a small blonde girl, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Little kind of elfish looking,
petite. Exactly. She did play a fairy in the Maleficent. She played one of the fairies in there, which so she definitely has one of those looks where she could pull that off. Oh, and Joe Keery, a lot of people might know him from Stranger Things. He's in it. He plays a cop in that. So
that's Steve, right? That's Steve Harrington.
Yeah. The preppy boy, like, not the poor kid, but the other one.
Cool, man. Hell yeah, Steve's in there. He's like my
favorite. Yeah, and he does a good job. He does a really good job. You have Lamorne Morris. He's done quite a few comedies. You might recognize him. He plays a cop. You got Rika Mornjani. She was in Never Have I Ever. She plays the cousin. She's really good in it. And another great character is played by Sam Sproul. You've probably seen him in a bunch of smaller roles, but he's really good. He plays like this old school, like Celtic type guy who believes in all this Celtic lore, and he's really cool. And there's definitely a lot of callbacks to the movie.
Oh, really? This one actually ties to the movie.
Doesn't tie to it, but they definitely
give
homage to it with the shots. A lot of shots are framed to like give a shout out or a wink to the original movie, which is fantastic. Like really good stuff, really great stuff. Yeah,
It's cool that they always get like such a good cast for the show. Like it's
yeah.
weird. I don't really like the movie too much. It's one of my least favorite Coen Brothers films, but like the show is fantastic. I was a little when I watched the first season, I didn't expect to love it as much as I did, but Billy Bob Thornton was so great. And then the second season with Marty Freeman, I got to get
Yep.
caught up though. I only saw up to season 3. I have a hard time with Ted Danson, so like but I need to finish.
Season 3 had Ewan McGregor, right? That was Ewan McGregor was in season 3 or 4.
That was 4. 3 was Ted Danson as the sheriff.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, they're all really good, but this season is, oof. I'd say this is probably the best season yet.
Cool.
Really, really good. Yeah. What else? We've been continuing with the strain because.
How far are you?
We're getting to the end of season 3, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have one more season after this.
So you got to the part where the kid starts getting annoying. That's the one thing that kind of like kills it for the show. Is like the son. Like the first couple seasons, he was an all right character, but like, oh my god, he is the anti-Carl. Whereas like in Walking Dead, like I kind of started the show not liking the kid, but like when I stopped watching it, he was kind of my favorite character. Whereas the strain, like I finished the whole show, but like, oh my god, I fucking hated F's kid so bad.
Yeah, he is annoying. Pat too. She's like, just give him to the fucking vampires already.
Yeah. Well, wait till you get to the last couple seasons, man. She's gonna be as bad as I was. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Just fucking feed him to him, Use him. Yeah. So anyway, like, yeah, he plays the bratty, like fucking teenage bratty kids. Well, I guess if that's what he's going for, then he's pulling it off. And another show I started watching was Brassic. That's a British show produced and created by Joseph Gilgan.
Oh shit! That's all you got to say. I'm watching it. Is he in it?
It's good. Oh yeah, he's in it. He's one of the main actors. Yeah.
Is it funny or sad? Because he's really good at doing both. Like
both. It's got both, and it's very. I chat with Matt every once in a while, and he's the one who's recommended it to me. And he's like, if you like Guy Ritchie, you're gonna love this show. It's very like the soundtrack of it. Like he picks, Joseph Gilgan picks all the costumes and the music for the show. He writes some of it. I don't know if he directed any of the episodes, but he's the creator producer of the show, and he stars in it as well. And I'm up to episode 6. I think there's 5 seasons, but it's only 6 episode seasons. So I think what they do is like a season, take 6 months off and do a second season. So you get like a season and a half in a year. And this came out in 2019 and there's already 5 seasons of it.
Wow. I'm going to have to get into it. I've not heard of that. I need to check that out because I am a huge fan of his. He is a very well-rounded actor. When I first saw him, it was in a movie called This Is England. And he was a little funny in that, but like he's mostly kind of a sad character, you know what I mean? Especially when it spins off into the show. And then when he popped up on Misfits, I did not expect him to be as hilarious as he was. Yeah. That's when he went straight nutsack. And like ever since then, like then he played Cassidy and stuff. So like a lot of people know him as like this kind of cartoon character, but like he's got a really, really good dramatic side to him too.
He does. And he's got like that puppy dog quality to him, right? Where
you don't want to see him hurt. Yeah,
and like no matter how despicable he can play a role, he's still so endearing. You're like, I forgive you, like, and he's got one of those faces so ugly he's adorable, like he's homely, but homely in an adorable way that he's cute. It's kind of he's the full package. Like he's fantastic. I love him. He's so good. And there's some I guess one of the main actresses in it, Michelle Keegan, I guess she's blowing up. She's on another series that's exploded. Damian Maloney's on it. He's been in a few other things I've seen, like the one where they're squatters. Anyway, I don't remember what it's called. He was in that. Tom Hansen, he played his character. I love his character in it. Freaking hilarious. I love his character. Super funny. Dominic West is in it. He plays the therapist because Joseph Gilgan's character is bipolar, so he goes and sees a therapist. So Dominic West plays his therapist, which is He's his anyway. It's I'm not gonna
He's
say
crazy. Anybody that's a fan of Dominic West, like I could
yeah.
just imagine just like thinking of him from The Wire or from being what's his name? Jigsaw in Punisher
Jigsaw, yeah,
Warzone and
exactly,
all the
yeah.
weird characters that he's played. Yeah, like he's a funny dude. I like Dominic West with his
Uh,
big old teeth.
and it's so good. Like it's definitely a lot like Snatch and stuff like that. So if you dig that kind of stuff, it's kind of like Snatch or Lock, Stock, but turned into a series, which is great. Really good stuff. So yeah, that's my pretty much my check-in. I continued reading Gotham Central. I pretty much read the stuff this week for the episode. Uh, been kind of rereading stuff that we didn't have any reading to do, but for our Precious episode that we're actually going to do this Saturday instead of last Saturday, we had to postpone it. So I've been kind of re-looking through some of the books I picked. So that's pretty much it, man. Like that's my check-in. But Brassic, really good. Fargo, two excellent shows. If you're looking for something, you think you've run out of stuff to watch, go watch Brassic and Fargo. You will not be disappointed.
Right on. I started a new show too. It's called Monsieur Spade. It's an AMC show. It's got Clive Owen, and it's a kind of a sequel to The Maltese Falcon. Like it's Sam Spade's son. It takes place in the '60s, and it's just like a crime thriller noir with Clive Owen. It's really good. Got a bunch of got a pretty good cast too. I don't really know any of the people from it, but I've seen them around. You know what I mean? I don't know their
Yeah.
names. Like it's definitely at this point, like there's only one episode, but like I'd say definitely check it out. It's off to a good start. I'm not the hugest AMC fan, but like with their weird little crime series lately, they've been really hitting it out of the ballpark. First with Dark Winds and now with this one. Like I'm thinking they're kind of picking it back up with some of their shows. They're kind of on a lull there in my opinion, but kind of picking it back up. And then I watched The Marvels, which I don't get the hate. I thought it was a really cute movie. I thought for like a cosmic superhero movie, it knocked it out of the ballpark. I thought the
So that's
costume,
available on Disney now?
yeah, it's rent. You can rent it.
Oh, rented. Okay. Okay, got you.
I rented it, yeah.
Yeah, I
And
saw that it was available to rent. When is this supposed to drop on Disney? Do you know?
I don't know, after they get enough money for it.
I guess I didn't do that great at the box office.
When they're happy.
Nothing's been doing great at the box office. Aquaman flopped. I mean,
well, I think that people just didn't go see Marvels, man. It is a cool space superhero story. You know what I mean? The one thing is like it just picks up and goes. It doesn't explain shit. Like it just kind of starts, which I kind of appreciated about it because I kind of hate like when we get into the show we're going to talk about Echo. I kind of hate when it drags its ass for too long to get the point. But
yeah, like a lot of people were probably disappointed with that first episode.
But I think that I do think that the Marvels could have used a little explaining at the beginning, but whatever. I thought it was a really fun movie. I really like the girl that plays Miss Marvel. I liked her on the show, but like her character was so much more fun here. And I definitely recommend checking out the Marvels. Like if you want to watch a fun superhero movie, you know.
I can't wait till they like introduce Silver Surfer into the cosmic universe. That's something I want to see.
Well, the cool thing about Miss Marvel, the Marvels, is they totally introduced kind of the X-Men finally. Like at the
yeah, I heard that. Yeah, a little like
there's a kind of an X-Men thing at the end of it, which is cool.
Is that is it post credits or is it?
Yeah, it's post credit. I don't want to spoil too much, but yeah, there's a stinger that kind of hints at X-Men finally.
Okay, so Sean Randall here is Sean Gunn. Is that the James's brother, the one who's in Guardians?
Yeah, he plays Kraglin. Yeah, him and Joseph Gilgan should team up, man. And Goofy.
They look like they could play brothers, really. Like,
straight.
Do you like brothers that get separated at birth? One's American, the other's British, and they kind of meet up or some shit like that.
Straight up. With Paul Gross, yeah. Sweet. And I read a bunch of stuff too. But I don't really have any pictures for it, so I don't want to talk about it too much. But yeah, that's pretty much my check, and we should just get into it. We're about 15 minutes into the show, so you want to dive into this matter at hand?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Okay, first up we have Daredevil, Parts of a
Yes.
Whole.
Yes, and they just released this. When was it? Did I say in October? I believe.
Yeah, they got a new little book out for to promote the show, Echo, the Saga of Maya Lopez, which has the two books where we're going to talk about. And I urge people that watch this, even if you didn't like the show, check this book out. These are two really cool fucking Daredevil stories. Like, oh man, just really good superhero comics at their best, especially Parts of a Whole. Like I said, it's one of my all-time favorites, and God damn, dude. It's a beautiful book. I had such a hard time picking panels to show for this fucking, because the whole book looks great. And I'm going to get into like just how amazing some of Joe Quesada's art is in this, because like I think that David Mack kind of challenged him. Like he's always a pretty competent artist, but like he pushes himself. There are panels in this where he completely replicates David Mack's style, and like they've asked him over the years if David Mack drew any of this, and they both contend that Joe Quesada drew these panels, which, oh my fucking god, that is impressive, because I have tried to replicate David Mack's style, and it is not easy. I can't do it.
Yeah, I was wondering that, so I'm glad you had the answer. That's what I was wondering, if he actually contributed to those pages, because
I'm not sure if they've changed their story over the years, but like last time I heard them talk about it, they both contend that like Joe Quesada drew everything in this book. David Mack didn't do anything. I think he kind of gave him page breakdowns and thumbnails and stuff, kind of how he wanted the pages designed. But like, yeah, Quesada did all the art in it, and that is incredible. Like,
and the covers are fantastic as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
because he did all the cover. Him and Palmiotti did the covers. Like,
yeah,
the ink.
Great stuff. Oh,
they were such a great team, man. A pencil and inker, man. Quesada and Palmiotti. Oh my! And Parts of a Whole starts out. Matt. Basically, like, to catch you up, the first arc was Guardian Devil, and that was written by Kevin Smith, also drawn by Joe Quesada. And all you really need to know from that one is at the end of it, Bullseye kills Karen Page. And Matt Murdock is super emo sad boy right now, because Karen Page, his lover that died, came back again, became a junkie, came back again. She's dead. So he playing the piano. He's trying to, pound some keys and get us out of his system. Black Widow comes and visits him, grabs his ass while he's playing the piano. Never quite seen that maneuver before, but good for her. And she kind of talks to him about like how he needs to get over it, and kind of toughen him up, and
get over it and get into bed. That's the vibe I got.
Yeah, they have quite the history together, but Matt ain't down for it, which whatever.
Yeah, Black Widow's very thirsty in this story arc. She keeps showing up. So, are you over? Are you over Karen yet?
She is kind of his rebound girl. She does kind of pop up when one of his girlfriend dies. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She knows. Yeah. She knows his his pattern. So she's like, I'm gonna score me some Matt Murdock. Yeah.
And basically, like, because there's too much tied to his old life, like he sold his old brownstone, and him and Foggy, they're starting a new business in a new part of town. Basically, also in Guardian Devil, you get introduced to Foggy's mom. She's kind of like a really scummy lawyer, like, kind of Johnny Cochran-ish, I guess. I don't know. Like, I don't really know lawyers too well, but like, she's one of the ones that like will break the rules and do whatever she's got to win. So her and Foggy didn't get along, and like basically she fired Matt and Foggy in the previous arc. So she's a character that's going to pop up. That's the only reason why I bring her up right here.
Yeah.
And basically, between that, we get introduced to Echo, and she is also playing the piano, but she's a prodigy. And like through this, we kind of learn her story, where she is a deaf girl, and basically like her dad was a gangster crazy horse, and he died, and she got basically, she not adopted by Kingpin, but like he is her benefactor. He provides for her, and basically like he sent her to a school for handicapped kids, and they had a guy come and play the piano in front of them, And that's when you learned that, like, she learned that, like, all she has to do is kind of watch what somebody does, and she can perfectly replicate it, because she watched the guy play the piano, and as a little girl, she was able to just go up and start playing it
Mimic.
perfectly. And that's what got her taken out of a handicap school into a school for prodigies. And
You know what? After reading this, I was reading this, and I was like, her power, like her gift, definitely, like if you want to replace Taskmaster, she's got similar skill set as the Taskmaster, right? Because she can duplicate anyone's fighting style
it's
just by
pretty much,
watching them.
she's pretty much got the exact same skill set as Taskmaster. Yeah.
Taskmaster, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, oh hell yeah, man! I'm looking forward to Daredevil Born Again, like
Mhm.
especially with kind of how they ended Echo. You know what I mean? Like there's like a lot to be hyped for.
Yeah.
Vincent D'Onofrio was amazing, like always. So yeah, Daredevil Born Again, super hyped for it.
It's still a
Anything,
ways out though, eh? 2025, I think it's supposed to release.
did they push it back again? I thought it was supposed to come out this year. God damn.
Yeah, I thought I saw a date said 2025. I can recheck that as you're giving the breakdown. But it seems to me when I was researching stuff, I saw that come up as 2025 release. Yeah.
So yeah, Echo basically like gets moved to and that's kind of like what we learned about her, is that she's kind of just in a way a genius, you know what I mean? But also really childlike and naive, you know what I mean? She never learned hard knocks, you know what I mean? But like she is able to just man, she's an interesting character, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
but
Well, she definitely is dealing with like a hard time with the loss of her father, right? That's like her main motivation, right? So
and
like,
she doesn't try to look too hard at things that don't necessarily like involve her interests though. Like she like knows the kingpin, and like she doesn't try to like read up on him, you know what I mean? Like she kind of just stays in her own bubble though too, is like kind of what I'm getting at, you know what I mean? She's very smart, but she's not street smart, I guess you could say. Like a lot of intelligent people are, you know. I had this friend, Mark Minchell, in high school. The guy was an absolute genius, but like if you tried to take him, you know, downtown or something, like he would get his ass kicked. You know what I mean? He was just not really apt when it came to the world, and that's kind of how Echo is. But after her introduction, we go back to their new law office, and they got a client who has a speech impediment, and he's basically telling him he's got the goods on Kingpin, and um, he wants to snitch, but like he needs them to guarantee their protection. And while they're trying to, you know, find out what's going on, like this dude gets snapped. His name was Larry, and basically like
mhm.
it hits Matt Murdock, cuts his face, but like it takes him out. So uh, Matt wakes up. He's pretty disoriented though. He's kind of like shell shocked, and he suits up. At this point, Foggy knows that Matt is Daredevil in the comics too, by the way. So like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
none of that. So like that's why he's able to just kind of do this and pull his shirt open and take off. Meanwhile, we kind of also find out that Echo can mimic fighting very well, and she understands the art of it. She knows that like she's got a small frame, so she learns how to you know, dance and move and
Mhm.
stuff like that. She says she's better at doing the sticking than the moving than the sticking, and that's what makes her a good boxer. So like we kind of see that like how her power works, much like you said, kind of replicating Taskmaster. But and then we go back to the chase scene between Matt and whoever shot him, and oh my god, dude, some of these scenes that Quesada did, a Daredevil in
Yeah,
action, just so gorgeous, man. Look at his wire going everywhere, like
yeah,
damn. Like
yeah.
they just don't draw him like this anymore, man. Honestly.
No, no, it's good, and it's I love it because it's not extreme in the sense of his costume being overboard. It's just really like uh, uh, energetic, dramatic poses and stuff. Really cool stuff, especially in the air. Like the foreshortening with the perspective and stuff. It's just great, great like paneling and shots of action sequences and stuff. So yeah, it's a fun comic for sure,
Uh,
art
and while
wise.
he and while what he's chasing is basically he can hear the a cell phone signal and smell the bullet, the cordite from the bullet. So that's kind of like how he was able to find out where these dudes were. And he runs into this guy who kind of just speaks in limericks. You know, he just kind of a penny
Yeah.
earned is a penny saved, and all this over and over again. And like the fight sequence is just badass. But like, you know, Daredevil outsmarts him, and like he does this thing with the ladder where like he hits the ladder, hits him in the head, and his stick bounces up, hits the ladder, and the ladder drops on him. Really kind of cartoonish, but cool. I love the way that they rendered it. And like he catches this guy, but like he turns around and finds out he's got a brother, so he has to fight two of them, and he smashes them, and they're both kind of do the same thing. Like they're kind of Humpty Dumpty-ish, or Tweedledee and Tweedledum is what I mean, not Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah, exactly. They definitely have that vibe. Yeah,
Tweedledee and Tweedledum. And then after that fight, like Daredevil calls Kingpin, gets the dude's phone that he was talking on, redials, and he gets a hold of Kingpin. So Kingpin decides that he needs to step on the gas on his plan. And this is where we basically kind of find out that this is a sequel to Born Again that Frank Miller and Dave Mazzucchelli did years ago. Like Kingpin has been planning this since then. He tried to take everything away from him and learned that just made Matt Murdock stronger. So he decided he was going to Trojan horse him. And like, that's why he raised Echo to be the way that she was. He realized early on that she was the anti-Daredevil, or like the deaf version. You know what I mean? Something that can contend with him. So he's been grooming her as like a fighter and stuff to take on Daredevil. So he is going to have her go talk to Matt Murdock and try to convince her, convince Matt Murdock that Kingpin's actually a good guy and that like he shouldn't go after him. Which it is like how he's going to introduce her into his life. So he falls in love with her. Meanwhile, she's trying to kill him because he's also sowing a narrative that Daredevil is really the person who killed her dad.
Yeah.
So he wants her to fall in love with Matt Murdock, but kill Daredevil is like his plan. It's kind of the same, like, and that's why I hated the Daredevil movie so much, is that they ruined the story of this book. It's kind of the same thing that like Kingpin did with Elektra in the Daredevil film, but
yeah.
We'll get to that after we talk about the book, Alex. We are going to review the show Echo, and I have thoughts on it. So if you want to hear that, please stick around.
Yeah.
But yeah, this basically we get kind of this cool. I love these puzzle piece motifs that they do, and the design of this book is just so great. Basically, like Matt Murdock went back to the office and pretended he was knocked out, got taken to the hospital, and he's thinking about all the stuff. But like while he's at the hospital, he gets visited by Lenny, the kid that just got killed, and he tells him Kingpin's secret. Basically, like he says something about Crazy Horse, which Daredevil doesn't quite understand yet, but he will. And like they get discharged, and he goes back home, and like he sees Lenny's chalk on the floor and tries to play his piano, but it's shot in it, so it doesn't quite make the noise that it's supposed to. And then we got Echo going to meet him, and like I love this scene where they talk about how she's able to even replicate like the shot that I forget who shot it won the game last night. Really cool stuff, man. I really love the way that they build her character. She is so cool in the comic. And here's her meeting, and it's kind of funny. At first, she kind of thinks that Matt and Foggy are together.
Yeah, they're a couple. Yeah,
because they're like hugging and being very affectionate. Because
they have a moment, where
because Foggy thought Matt was hurt because he did get kind of shot in the face,
grazed by the bullet.
Basically, like Echo realizes that she's kind of interrupting something, so she leaves. But then that's
the introduction of Matt and her.
Yeah,
and they kind of have this spark, this connection the first time they meet.
Yeah, they really hit it off, and she tells him to come to her to meet her after her dance exhibit. You know what I mean? She's got something coming up, so she's like, "Okay, I can see you're busy now, but meet me next week. We're gonna do this thing after I have my dance recital." And that's a date set. And so Daredevil finds out what exactly Crazy Horse alludes to. So he goes to Fisk Tower, breaks in, and goes into his safe and steals all his stuff, like all his files and shit, but leaves behind the golden gun, which was Crazy Horse's gun, Echo's father's, which is kind of one of her totems. I love the golden gun. And kind of see some backstory about that. We're telling them about him telling her about how Daredevil killed her dad 20 years ago. And we got some more of these just beautiful, beautiful drawn David Mack inspired drawings from Joe
Quesada.
Quesada. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That colored pencil work that they do like that. Oh, it's just so striking, man. Like, and we it's basically like her dance recital gets completely changed, and she does this new interpretive dance about a devil and an owl and all that in front of people, and like it just so beautiful the way that they rendered this. Like, man, look at this. So good.
Yeah, good stuff.
Which leads to her getting the hand on her face and basically perfecting her look, you know what I mean? And so she is training to kill Matt Murdock now. She believes that she's not training to kill Matt Murdock, she's training to kill Daredevil. She believes that he killed her dad, so she got tapes of him fighting Bullseye throughout the year. And then she also got every martial arts tape she could think of, man. So
Bruce Lee, Jet Li, Jackie Chan.
So she's just buffing up, man. She's learning how to kick ass and stuff. But meanwhile, she goes and meets with Matt, and they have like the greatest day. They have the greatest day ever, man. Like they go and see a movie. They go and see Mallrats. There's a lot of Kevin Smith jokes in here, like because he just wrote the past arc. So like, there's a lot of Kevin Smithisms in this book.
I love that part, and I thought that part in the cinema, how they're joking around, and like, what he can't see, she tells him the scene, and vice versa. What she can't hear, anyway, they kind of help each other understand the movie better. And like people are yelling at them and throwing the popcorn. And I thought that whole scene, the way they built it, that sequence just hits it home like a great first date. You know, they really, really, like Joe Quesada and David Mack really captured that moment. Like they seem, you know, sometimes in comics it just seems forced and stuff, but that really seemed like a genuine moment where you could relate to it. Like if you've ever been on a date and had a really good first date where you just laugh a lot with the other person and stuff, and that they really captured that in those pages, I found.
Yeah, I like the whole, like, what did he just say? Snoochie, Boochie, Brody Nucci?
Yeah.
Like, well, what does that mean? He's like, I have no idea. What are they doing on screen?
Like, yeah, exactly. I love it. I thought it was great. It was just a great couple pages. The paneling, the pacing was perfect, and I thought it really cemented that relationship, how they hit it off together and stuff. I thought that was really good.
And they had such a great time that Matt laughed so hard it broke his stitches. And this is a big plot point, which made his blood make a question mark. So like, remember that. But yeah, and like they have a good time, and like I love this page, man, with them just melting into the music, the jazz together. Like, so they had this wonderful date, man. And Matt's on cloud 9. He's going out doing his Daredevil stuff and he thinks that like, oh, love is in the air, so I just smell Echo everywhere I go because I'm in love with her. Meanwhile, like she's on the roof with a gun taped to her chest, just ready to. She's like got sticks like him. She's ready to kick his ass, and like right off the bat, he's like recognizing like, dude, she's fighting like Bullseye. Oh damn, that's one of my moves. And like she's just kind of not beating his ass, but like catching him by surprise. Then they get down to this playground, and it's kind of like the playground scene from the Daredevil movie, but done so much better. They don't jump on the teeter-totters or do any of that stupid shit. It's done so much better. But like these kids kind of show up, and they think that like one of them recognizes Echo because he was at her dance performance earlier. So he's like, wow, are you guys doing this for charity? This is so cool. You came to the school and did this performance for us. So she's like, okay, I won't kill you in front of these kids.
Yeah.
And kind of
I love
moment.
I love how later on they're going to call back to this sequence, and that's one of my favorite issues too. Later on, that issue was great.
Oh, the second playground fight is so gangster, man.
Yeah.
Which I hate that they threw the playground fight away in such a shitty way in the movie. It was just where they did it like where they weren't even in costume, and it was kind of goofy. I kind of wish that they would have covered it like in the movie, and we get kind of see like Kingpin's motivations. This kind of got like a cool kind of Kingpin backstory where we kind of see like the Hammer, the killing his father. You know, that kind of comes into play a lot in this, but he's remembering like the good old days with Crazy Horse and like kind of why he had to kill him. You know what I mean? Crazy Horse was in his way. You know what I mean? He needed to become the kingpin, and like as long as Crazy Horse was there, he wasn't going to. And he really didn't care much for Echo until she showed potential, which we learned. And basically, Matt and Foggy, the stuff that Matt stole from the safe, they take Kingpin to court, but like they're able to get him out on technicalities, basically. So Foggy kind of gets his ass kicked in court by his mom, and Kingpin gets released, but not to much success because Larry's brother Lenny kidnaps him and basically fucking shoots him off a bridge before Daredevil can stop him. But all Echo sees on the news is Daredevil holding the gun after Kingpin gets shot. So that just makes her believe even more about what happened. So she gets tooled up and she's ready to go to town. Meanwhile, Daredevil, he's out kind of looking for her because he's gonna try to show her that she's wrong. You know what I mean? Because like he was trying to talk to her in the last fight because she said it was talking about you killed my dad, and he was going to tell her like, dude, I'm Matt Murdock. But while they were fighting, there's no way that he could get her to read his lips. So, oh, also in this book, Echo can read lips really well, and she can speak perfectly because she can replicate.
Yeah.
Which they didn't really do in the show, and that didn't hurt my feelings. And I think that they kind of really did that because, first of all, like I think sign language would be really hard to try to draw panel to panel. Also, I think that there's no way that she could communicate with Daredevil because he can't see. So like she needed to be able to talk in the comic. So the whole thing that she was magically kind of able to talk didn't bother me in the comic. In the show, they changed it and whatever. But the playground. She also remembers that like her dad used to take her there. I love that panel, man. I kind of love the kind of color crayon sketches the Quesada does.
Drawings.
Like he really brings so many different art styles in this book. It's gorgeous. It's just a beautiful read. And basically, like Kingpin was able to walk, but they were able to lock up everybody else that they were found files on, man. And meanwhile, Daredevil, Matt Murdock's training, and like while they're while he's kind of doing exposition, kind of a montage of like him getting stronger while Foggy puts people away, and like he's on patrol again, and Black Widow shows up. She's trying to talk to him again, and Echo takes aim, but like kind of misses Daredevil and shoots Black Widow, poisoning her, and they have another really cool fight. But basically, Daredevil learns that like she needs to be able to see so she can fight. So like he totally takes her to this dark warehouse, where she can't see, and he kind of beats the hell out of her. Not really, but like he disarms her and is able to knock her, disorient her enough so he can get away without having to hurt her because he doesn't want to beat her ass. You know what I mean? Because like he
hit pressure points to stun her to, stun her, get her numb, so she can't move as well, get numbness in her limbs. Like he does a few pressure point things on her and stuff, and gets away, brings Black Widow to the hospital.
And she doesn't want to stay there, so he takes his place first, and because she thinks she's just tranked, but she ends up having to go to the hospital because it was a poison. But like basically, like he takes her away. Meanwhile, Echo goes back to the playground, and she's thinking like about how she was able to get beat, and then she thinks about like how he must rely on hearing because like he was able to fight her in the dark. So she hears the TVs and all this other stuff around the playground. There's construction going on, and also she decides that like, dude, fire, it will make so much noise that he won't be able to hear. So she sets the playground on fire, bringing Daredevil back out. And like, oh man, this fight is so gnarly because she's beating his ass, dude. Like this is balls at the wall. Like Echo, I like how Elektra used to beat Daredevil's ass, man. And she's knocking him around, and she hits him in the cheek where she sees the question mark blood. And realizes that it's Matt, and realizes that there's no way Matt killed her dad. And they're able to talk, and he tells her like, dude, I'd have been 2 when your dad died. So meanwhile, while all this is going on, you see the Kingpins in the sewers still alive, but like he's all shot up, and like his face, I think he lost one of his eyes, right? And he's able to get out of the sewer, and like he's he's able to meet it back up with Elektra, and like he tries to talk and about it, and blam, we get the setup for
with Echo, for the end.
Well, basic, not really for Echo. Like the blind Kingpin and what follows after this, it has to do more with what Brian Michael Bendis did with Daredevil, and the whole outing of Matt Murdock, and all the him going having to the world knowing who Matt. He basically redid Born Again, but like way longer and way more brutal. Is what
Okay.
I don't know if anybody read Bendis's, but that's kind of the easiest way I could explain it.
Yeah.
It basically meticulously takes Matt Murdock's life apart and exposes him for being Daredevil in the news and stuff, to the point where like Danny Rand pretends to be Daredevil to try to get the heat off of him, which we'll talk about in a later book, because that ties into the Immortal Iron Fist,
Iron Fist,
which we'll be covering on probably our next Big Tuesday.
Yeah. So it's a nice little tie-in. They tie together a little bit. Yeah.
But yeah, that's parts of a whole. Like they don't hook up, which I really love. Like that's kind of one of the things that kind of bums me out about a lot of the Daredevil femme fatales, because I love all of them. I love Typhoid Mary, and I loved Elektra. I love Lady Bullseye. I liked all of them so much, but I love Echo's one of my favorites, because like her and Matt's romance, like it blossomed, but it never bloomed. You know what I mean? Like
missed opportunities.
And it's a bittersweet thing, and I really like that about the story, because she takes off to find out about herself after that, and that leads us to Vision Quest, which takes it's a huge jump later in the series. This was issues 9 through 15, whereas Vision Quest is issues 51 through 55.
55,
which takes place balls deep into the Alex Mayleave, Brian Michael Bendis run. I'm not exactly sure which arcs this took place between, but it was a nice little segue. And I really like Vision Quest, but it's very much more David Mack style. Whereas like Parts of a Whole, David Mack was writing kind of a old school, like traditional superhero narrative, whereas in Vision Quest, he writes a David Mack comic. It's fucking kabuki for Marvel, pretty much. It's very surreal, very introspective, but it starts out Echo, she comes back. She's not really sure what she wants to do, but like
you learn she's traveled the world, learning art more and more, learning all kinds of stuff, just trying to find herself, right? And so then she comes back and meets the old shaman, or whatever you want to call him, and he sends her on a vision quest to find her true self.
Well, at first she goes back to New York and she tries to hook up with Matt, Daredevil, but like he's moved on. He's got another girlfriend already, and it's just not supposed to happen. It's not in the cards. So she goes to a reservation to learn about herself, and he sends her on a vision quest, and that's pretty much what the rest of the book is, man. It's just beautiful, just gorgeous artwork.
A lot of her origin story is told through this. Like a lot of the story between her relationship, her and her father. It talks a lot about the relationship as a little girl with her father and everything. So it definitely digs into that a lot. And like you said, David Mack, it's very dream-esque kind of visually told, like very surreal panels, like the paneling.
The page designs are just
layouts are very non-traditional, like you said, like so
he loves the geometrical shapes. There are swirls, circles, and little triangles everywhere, man. He loves doing those. I love looking at him, man. It's just gorgeous. But this book it is like 5 issues long, but you can really sum it up really easy, man. She basically
4 days of fasting for her vision quest, right? And each issue is basically almost a day in her vision quest, more or less. So
and she basically it's told through a folk tale about 2 wolves inside of a person, and which one's going to win. There's a hungry one and a helpful one, right? I forget. There's a good one and a bad one. And you don't know if it's actually Wolverine or not. Like it's never because like it's all inside of her head. But basically, Wolverine appears to her in her visions, and basically is the wolf is her kind of her totem animal that kind of helps her through it. And basically, like all you get through this is she decides that she's going to be a hero. You know what I mean? Like she's going to she's going to strive to be as like Matt or like all the people that's helped her. You know what I mean? She's going to.
And I love the story Wolverine tells and how it connects back to her. Like I thought that was really well done. I love the way David Mack did that. Yeah, like how it ties in. You're like, why is Wolverine in this? But the way he explains it and brings it all back to like are they just forcing Wolverine into this, like just shoehorning a popular character into like but no, it's actually really cool the way they introduce him into the story, how he went on a vision quest as well, and he's kind of explaining his quest, that what he saw to her, and it all comes around and comes full circle, which is really cool. I love the way they did it. I don't want to spoil it because it's a fun little touch and I really appreciate it, and I thought it was really great.
Yeah.
It was such a good payoff.
I'm not gonna lie. This is probably one of the best Wolverine co-stars I've ever seen in a comic. Man, I really appreciated it. Mack is the Mack with the storytelling. Well put, Phineas.
Yeah. So yeah, and the art in it is fantastic. Like I mean,
and the Hugh Jackman Wolverine. I guess kind of Wayne Static there too. Look at like
yeah, but he's shorter because she says he's shorter than me.
Yeah.
They make it a point to specify that he's short in this. Yeah. So it was really good. Really good. Yeah. And then so all that comes and she kind of finds peace with herself and her father's death. And it's a nice closing chapter where she comes to some kind of resolution with her and her father and finds peace in the end. And kind of finds peace with it finishes with her going to see Matt Murdock again, Daredevil.
Yeah, and basically telling him like she's gonna be around, you know what I mean, and she's gonna be good, which is cool. And she's popped up in quite a bit of cool stuff like over the years, man. Like one of my favorite things that she was in after this was Brian Michael Bendis and Alex May Leave's Moon Knight. Like she co-starred in that. She they killed her off, which sucks, but like they brought her back to life. She was Ronin for a little while after she hung out with Hawkeye.
In the Avengers books, yeah.
Then they made her Phoenix for a little while, which sucked, but whatever. Like she's a great character. They don't do too many good things with her nowadays, sadly. But like, there is so much great potential with her character. I would like. I mean, Mack. I don't know what he's doing. Like he just seems to be making a lot of money with covers nowadays. But I would love to see him come back to the character of Echo. There actually,
there's a new Daredevil and Echo series that's out now. I think it just started this month.
No, it's a little graphic novel, isn't it? I saw the hardcover for it, the one that Phil Noto drew.
It's just came out recently. No.
Yeah, it just came out. It's called Daredevil and Echo. I think it's a little hardcover, man.
Oh, is it? I thought it was a floppies. Okay, it could be a little hardcover. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know much. I just saw it was out recently, so I didn't realize it was like a little graphic novel.
Yeah. And it's the comic book Echo too. I was looking at it at the shop. I wasn't able to pick it up, but it's got both Daredevils in it. It's got the Elektra, Daredevil, and Matt in it, and it's got classic Echo. And yeah, it looks really rad. I want to read it. And I love Phil Noto's art. So like, at least it's picked up by, it's going to be gorgeous. You know what I mean? Or hyper realistic. Like, but you know, Noto, he's gangster, but, yeah, that's basically, Echo's backstory from the comics. And oh man, it's some of my favorite stuff. I absolutely loved. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, she is. Like that's kind of the problem with team books, man, is that some of your favorites will never get, like, you just see them in the background of panels. You know what I mean? Like I was a huge Psylocke fan when I used to read X-Men in the blue team, and like they barely did anything with her besides show her butt in the back of panels. Maybe that's why I liked her, but you know what I mean? But I wish that they and then later they did more with her, and she became one of my favorite characters legitimately, not just because she had a great smile. But yeah, that's kind of what they did with Echo and the Avengers. But yeah, and that's kind of the problem with the character of Ronin in general. Like they kind of just relegated to the back. Like when Blade was Ronin in the Mighty Avengers, they did the same thing with that character. So, but, you want to get into the show now? We're gonna
Yeah,
talk.
man. So we pretty much covered most of what the show. Like those two stories pretty much cover the bulk of the Marvel Disney Plus series. So I actually forced myself to watch Hawkeye just because of this. Um, so I watched
Horrible.
that because I knew Echo was introduced in it. So it was, it's your typical Disney Plus Marvel fare. Uh, it I mean, whatever. I would have rather they. When was Hawkeye? Did they already have the rights back for Daredevil when they started filming Hawkeye?
Yeah, because Vincent D'Onofrio was in it, right?
Yeah, he was at the end. That's true. Yeah, he was in it. So I don't know why they. I suppose because maybe she was Ronin in the Avengers, so that they thought maybe that was a good way to tie it in. I don't know. I would have just preferred to have Daredevil, but that's just me. I'm
Yeah,
wondering.
like the parts of a whole segment of her introduction in the Hawkeye show was a complete missed opportunity. But I think that they were scared to try to do parts of a whole, like I said, because they used so many elements of that story in the actual Daredevil movie, the Ben
Yeah,
Affleck movie, that they didn't want people being like, "Oh, why are they redoing this?" You know what I mean? It was horrible the first time, and they're just.
yeah. But
But
I mean, whatever. It was I guess a way to introduce the character.
I thought I didn't think it was the greatest introduction at the time. I like the actress. I think that she was
Yeah.
pretty cool. I think that she has a bit of humor and like a lot of sweetness to her. I kind of wish they would have played, kind of the cutesy whimsical parts of Echo a little bit. I think she could have nailed it, but like they just
Mm.
did not go for that angle at all in the show, which are on the live action character, which kind of bummed me out, man. Like
Yeah.
how do you feel about this?
She's definitely moody and mad all throughout. Like the Echo series, I think I was like, oh, she smiled on the series once, and I was like, oh, she has kind of a cute smile. Like I like her smile, and I think I only saw her smile one at a time over the 6 episodes. So, yeah, she definitely keeps in the bad mood category throughout the whole series. So
And another thing, I wish they would have made her as smart as she was supposed to be. Like I don't understand dumbing down the character, like especially when if they were trying to what they were trying to do with the show. I don't understand why they stripped her down. You know what I mean? Like I didn't understand why, except for maybe they wanted to save money. Like it's the only thing I could think of.
I don't know. I don't think they dumbed her down that much because she went and robbed the train. She definitely can organize. She was like the leader of the gang. Uh, she proves herself pretty useful right at the beginning. That's one thing. The first episode of Echo is so you don't really have to watch if you haven't seen Hawkeye and you're thinking, oh, you have to watch it before watching Echo. You don't have to because the first half of the first episode of Echo pretty much does the entire summary of everything you see in Hawkeye. So
One, it
anyone
adds
who's
a scene where she fights Daredevil, which
yeah,
is pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah. But the first half is like the first half of that first episode is just pretty much summarizes every fucking thing that had to do with her in Hawkeye. So you do not have to watch Hawkeye at all. If you're not interested in that series, you don't have to waste your time in watching it. You can just watch that first episode of Echo, and they sum it up. They cut scenes and like do a whole summary of it. So you don't even have to watch Hawkeye if you don't want to. Yeah.
And so like after basically in this version, basically her dad, Crazy Horse, he was a gangster and something happened to make another gang cut the brakes in their family car, which killed her mom and made Echo and she was already deaf, but like it made her lose her leg. And when her mom died, like her grandma got mad at her dad, told him they had to move, so he goes to New York and starts working for the Kingpin. And his actually Hawkeye kills her dad in this, or Ronin does.
Ronan. Yeah.
Which,
Who is Hawkeye at the time.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
And so like and it plays out where he tells her that Kingpin arranged it, so she goes and gets Kingpin, so she ends after that she shoots him in the head and she takes off and goes back home to Oklahoma to basically try to start a war with Kingpin on in a weird way, like because basically Zack Snyder was in charge of the characterization. The writers and directors could have added a few more layers. Yeah, that's another thing. Like 5 episodes, like I thought it was going to be cool, but like I actually felt that the show should have been a little longer because I felt that, especially explaining her power and like that they only use her power. It's almost like an '80s movie where they build up and they only show the monster at the end of the movie and you barely get to see him. Like I hated that they did that with her power and. You know what I mean? Like,
and what that whole thing, the whole channeling the power and everything, is that ever introduced in the comics? Because I'm not that familiar with the character.
No, that was all made up for the show.
That was all just for the show. That was rooted first in the What If, right, series. That episode with the yeah.
But the what if the Tesseract landed? Yeah, I think it.
Because it's the same. What do you call them? I don't know. In What If there, with the Bonnie character and all that.
Yeah.
So I think it's tied to that.
Yeah, I kind of wish they'd explain it a little more because, like, when the power just seemed like she only used it once, and it wasn't clear like exactly how it worked. You know what I mean? Because there was like the 3 other people that like used it legacy style, and they all used it in different ways. And then when she used it, like. Can everybody use it? Like I didn't understand her power. I don't know why they decided to change her power in such a weird way. And then
I think it's passed down from generation because her mom had it too, right? And the grandmother had it, and Bonnie is her cousin, so they're all related. So I think it's in the bloodline.
I suppose. I think
that's what it is.
I mean, I'm pretty good at understanding plots and stuff like that, but like I was really lost on like exactly how her power worked and what it actually did, because one point like it gave her super strength so she was able to push the train brake off of her leg.
But
then it can heal, then it like what is it do? It's a cool spiral. It ties into David Mack's artwork. I liked that part of it, but like I wish that they just gave her power from the comics. I know that it was Taskmaster, and they just unveiled the Taskmaster, and she's going to be back in Thunderbolts. So they didn't want to have 2 characters running around with the same power, but why not, dude? DC at least accepts it and makes fun of it. You know what I mean? Like in Suicide Squad, having Bloodshot and Peacemaker, pretty much the exact same skill set. Like, run with it, man. Like, don't. But I also understand that they wanted to give her a power that tied into her being indigenous, and that's cool and all. But like, could you have given her a power that makes sense that ties into her being indigenous?
Yeah, but I mean that part it felt a little forced and rushed at the end there. I was like, like they show the flashback with her mom with the bird and everything, and it was all right. But
that's the weird thing is at the beginning of the show, it did tie into her being able to mimic when she was fighting Daredevil. She watched him and was able to like match him, and she like was able to stutter her kicks and stuff like that. So like they kind of like hinted that she had the mimicking technique. So I thought they were going to play with that, but like it never gets addressed again in the show. There's barely any fighting in it, and then when we get the final conflict, it's really rushed, and her power is just incomprehensible. I kind of didn't love the show, man, to tell you the truth. I really wanted to love it. Echo's one of my I was one of the 5 people that was really, really excited for this show, and I don't hate it. Like compared to Secret Invasion, this show is a masterpiece. Like it's a good. I'd give it a low 7 out of 10, but like I kind of wish, because the acting was good, man. It had Graham Greene, had the guy that played Big from Res Dogs, had the girl that played Alora Dannon from Res Dogs. It had a lot of Res Dogs in it.
It was like basically the superhero version of Res Dogs, more or less, because she goes back to Oklahoma, to her hometown, and it all takes place in her hometown, right, where you got the Fisk transport, and that's where the connection for Fisk is, and she wants to sabotage some of his network and all that, and then she goes back to her. Is it her uncle or cousin that runs the
I think it's her
roller skate
uncle.
rink? It's her uncle, eh?
Yeah, the
Hmm.
world's oldest 9-year-old. That guy looked like a
Yeah.
little kid, man. Every time I saw him, I was just like,
So there's a lot of stuff like that. I thought that was fine. Like the train sequence was okay. That's her like doing stuff. The cousin, he was funny, but not in a you know.
the fight scenes were good. The girl
Yeah,
that plays Echo can fight, man. She's badass. I wanted more of that, and like there was some really cool Daredevil Netflix style violence in it. There's some gore
yeah,
in the show, but like it kind of happens too sporadically, in my opinion.
yeah. The first 3 episodes I really enjoyed, and then when they got into more the like you said, the echoes through time of like the ancestors and the bloodline passing down with the powers and stuff. I
I
was
love
like,
I love
okay,
the flashbacks. I actually, to tell you the truth, I would have loved a show about the cowboy Echo. Like she was badass. I would have
yeah,
loved to watch that.
yeah, that's really cool. Like all the different ancestors, the one that were playing lacrosse, all that stuff was cool. It's more when they actually started channeling their powers. All of a sudden, like Bonnie can use the powers too, and it's like all of a sudden she can use powers, and it's not really, like you don't really. And I find she was downplayed, that character. Like the whole Bonnie character, you think it's going to be a super big part in it, and she played such a small role because
That like
they
three
built
C.
that. Yeah, they built that relationship up so big of like of Maya and Bonnie, and nothing that much came of it. I found so I was a little let down with that. So
And plus, they got a cool actress, man. They got the girl that played Laura Danner from Res Dogs.
Res
She's
Dogs, yeah.
yeah, she's awesome. I love to see more of her.
Yeah, but the fight sequences, and this isn't a Marvel Studios production. This is a Marvel Spotlights, which I believe Werewolf by Night was also a Marvel Spotlight production, and it's supposed to be more standalone. It's not supposed to be tied into the bigger MCU universe, which is what I liked. Like there was no callbacks really all that much except for Hawkeye. They kind of did a little
What I,
like callback, but they kind of
what I think they're
moved
doing
on
with
from
it is it's kind of like a Marvel Knights type thing, and I think it's gonna kind of all revolve around Daredevil and the Hawkeye. I think, and I think the Marvel Spotlight stuff is gonna be kind of more the street level, smaller.
which is what I like. I like that stuff. Like you said, the fight sequences were good. Where they go into where they have the I don't know if it's what is it the drug den or whatever, where they go in with the 2 dudes and just fucking start pounding when Daredevil shows up and stuff. Like I loved all that stuff. That was great. That was good stuff.
I'm not really sure if I think Mack should have been involved in the writing. Like, it would have been cool, but like how much they changed it and what they were trying to do with this show, I kind of think it's all right that they I mean that's the thing about adapting tiny characters that only people like us are really interested in and excited for, is that they can do whatever they want with them. And I think they play around fun with Echo. I kind of the only problem is I wish they'd explained her power. I don't have a problem with the power. Like I just wish
Well,
I exactly all what it encompassed and how it worked. Just
well,
a
I
little
think it.
bit of an
I'm
explanation.
I'm sure that's tied into that What If episode in season 2.
Yeah, I loved that episode, but like even that didn't really explain how their power.
No, yeah, I guess not. Yeah. Well, this is the problem I have with all the fucking Marvel shit, right? Like, that's one of the things I was so disappointed with What If, because I thought it was going to be, like a lot of like standalone, and I was hoping What If was going to be like,
They did. There's a lot of the problem is like it's such a short
it's
episode.
all fucking Carter and the fucking Guardians of the what was it, the multiverse. At the end of season 1, when they introduced that, I was like, come on, give me a fucking break. I was hoping it was going to be more in the style of what's that show we like with the robots, Love, Robots, and something,
Love, Death,
where
and
it's all.
Robots.
I thought What If, I was hoping it was going to be like a Love, Death, and Robots, where it's each episode is its own thing, and they change like art styles and stuff for it. It would have been so cool. You could have had a few episodes that tied in together and stuff, but that's what I was really hoping for. Just give me some fun one-off episodes that I could just enjoy watching, that I don't have to worry about fucking happy being a Hulk, and then all of a sudden he's Hulk again in the fucking 1602 or 04, whatever the fuck, and he's Hulk in there too, and it carries over. And I was like, how the fuck does that work anyway? And he doesn't know Stark there, but it's anyway. I don't know. It was fucking What If. I hated What If, but I digress. Actually,
pretty fun.
Matt, I know you liked it. I just like the animation is the same all the way through. I was like, so yeah. Spotlights. So the other one was Marvel special presentation. Okay, I thought it was a Spotlights as well.
And they called it a Spotlight so they could put it on Hulu and kind of bury it if it doesn't go over well, man. I'm pretty sure it was kind of like what they keep trying that stuff over on Hulu. They had The Runaways, they had Hellstrom, Cloak and Dagger, right? Which I kind of liked most of those shows. Hellstrom could have been.
Hellstrom was. I didn't mind Hellstrom. I thought it was all right.
I really like Cloak and Dagger though. I thought that especially for being like as low budget as it was, I think they did what they wanted to do pretty well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I was talking with Matt. We were chatting earlier in the week. Yesterday was it, or the day before? And then he was like, "Oh, what did you think of the little girl that played Maya, like as a younger her?" And I was like, "Yeah, man. Like I was like, there was good casting." He's like, "Well, you know why?" And I was like, "Why is that?" He's like, "Well, fuck. It's actually what's the Cox Aliqua's cousin, little cousin. It's her cousin that plays her as a younger version of herself.
That's why it looks so much like her. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Man, I love that scene where like Kingpin beats up the ice cream guy and she runs over and starts kicking him. And
kicking him, yeah.
Kingpin's like, this little girl's cool. The thing about the show is I love the way that they played Kingpin. I like that like they switched his character up where he was kind of the sweet one that like actually in a weird way learned to love her. You know what I mean? And
he was a little more endearing in the series than he was in the comic, right? Towards Maya. Yeah. I like that little change in Kingpin for the series was really good as opposed to the comic, but
yeah, there was a Cloak and Dagger show. It's really cool. You can watch it on Hulu. I think it was 2 seasons. Like I said, man, it's kind of low budget, but it's really fun for what it is, man. I like the actors, and I don't know, kind of reminded me of. It's kind of what you would expect from a superhero TV show, like back when we were kids, like, but like written way better. You know what I mean? It's written good, like a modern show, but like the sensibilities of it is almost like you're watching a show from the early 2000s, something like Heroes, where like the power they don't fly around and shit. Cloak's powers are really watered down, but like I understood because the show is, I think it was on Freeform, which I think is a small Canadian channel.
But yeah, so I mean, maybe a little disappointed with Echo in the grand scheme of things, but like I don't know. I like the fact that Daredevil had a little, very short, brief cameo in it, which was great. Right off in that was the first episode, right?
Yeah, it's about 7 minutes in, I'd say, right?
Yeah, that was good. The fight sequences are all really well done. She rides a badass motorbike. Like, I mean, I love the fact that they made her ride a motorbike, and they picked a great cafe racer for her to drive. So I love that.
I have 2 more crybaby nitpicks.
Yeah, what's that?
I really wish they would have gave her dad's gold gun, and I really wish they would have put the handprint on her face. Even on
that would have been cool. Yeah, that would have been cool. The handprint on the face is nice.
But I mean, they did work a lot of David Mack stuff in. Like on her jacket, she had the circle with the triangles and stuff. Like they did work in a lot of David Mack motifs into her outfits and stuff like that, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, he disappeared right away. I think it was just more like a wink, like to say, "Oh, she's actually from the pages of Daredevil."
Well, they had to
kind of them.
They had to have her fight somebody badass that would impress Kingpin. And like the fact that she was able to kind of fight and scrap with Daredevil for a couple minutes and not just get her ass kicked. Like it was a neat cameo, but like I kind of wish that they did a callback and had him show back up maybe at some point. But then again, why the fuck would he go to Oklahoma? But he's a lawyer. He could have been out there defending. I don't know.
But that was from the past though, so that wasn't in Oklahoma. That was in New York. That's when. That scene took place in New York though. So.
Yeah, that was in the first episode. Like, yeah, they kind of edited it in because I don't remember that happening in Hawkeye. I watched Hawkeye when it aired, and I try to forget it. Like,
yeah, it wasn't. It was just in this series. You're not going to see any Daredevil in Hawkeye at all. It's just Ronin. Hawkeye being Ronin, just to prove to her. Anyway, it was stupid. So, night, Matt. So yeah, I think they replaced the gold gun with the gold shin pad. Is pretty much what they did for her prosthetic. That's kind of more or less what remember, because he made that her new prosthetic leg had that gold plate on it. That
know. And the hand is is carved onto the shoulder pads of the suit that her grandma makes for her at the end. So the hand motif does get worked in. I just kind of wish they'd have put it on her face, even on accident, like have her get hit and have it on there. It would have just been fun. Like how in the Luke Cage show, how he kind of accidentally had the old school Luke Cage outfit when he like washed ashore. I love that scene. He had the yellow shirt on and the tiara and stuff. Like, I just like seeing the heroes look the way they're supposed to look. That's half the reason why I loved Marvel so much, man. The outfit, the suits in it were so good.
But I hope she doesn't go with that traditional garb that her aunt made her. Like if they do a second season or she makes a reappearance, just keep her street, like with the leather jacket and shit. Maybe, you could always introduce the fucking handprint later and just be like, listen, whatever.
I don't know why. Like they're working with superheroes, they're working with people that wear masks and capes, and they hate having their characters ever put on their masks or their helmets. Man, if you notice, Thor never wears his helmet. Like Hawkeye, runs around with no mask on. I mean, it's a weird little nitpick, but like it's weird for me to like. Why would you take on the world of superheroes if you don't want them to look the way?
Yeah.
Wolverine better wear a mask when he shows up.
I saw a lot of fucking shots,
Oh no, I'm not talking about
leaked shots.
I'm not talking about Hugh Jackman. I'm talking about like the Wolverine that's going to be for the MCU. Like he.
Yeah. Well, look, Carl Urban, man, he refused. They didn't want him to wear the helmet, but he's like, no, if we're going to do Judge Dredd, we're going to do it right. I'm never taking it off. Like he knew the character. And he was dedicated to it. He's like, no, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this right. And I think that's the problem when you hire actors that don't know the characters. And it's like, their egos get in the way. And like, you have to see my face for my brand and sell myself. But, when you get actors that really like Deadpool, like Ryan Reynolds is like, no, like bring back the real Deadpool and like do costume proper. And, like it's nice to see actors that actually have a good knowledge of the character and what they're portraying, because it just adds to the performance so much better, right? It just adds so much to the live action portrayal of that character,
I agree. And I think people can be very expressive with masks on. Like I've seen like actors throughout the centuries, like the guy that played C-3PO, Kane Hodder as Jason Voorhees. There's a lot of people that can act their asses off with a mask on.
And you know what? And if you can't, then maybe you're not fucking good acting. You shouldn't have the role in the first place. So fuck off. Right? Like imagine Spider-Man not wearing his fucking mask. Come on. Or Batman. Oh, I can't wear but he has Bruce Wayne, right? So you do see him quite a bit.
But I do it. It's just a fanboy shit pick. I'm just whining about something, but the handprint would have been cool, and the gold gun would have been cool because she uses guns so much in the show. Like, give me the gold gun. Come on, what's the matter?
Why would that be so hard to do? And it wouldn't have been hard to do, because they touch on a lot of the. That's one thing I liked about the story is they touch a lot on the Vision Quest story. The shadow. The father telling the stories through the shadow puppets on the walls and all that. They really dug into that part of the story quite a bit. That was done well. How the father told her how she has to become live in two worlds and become something more, and how she's got to I thought that was really well done in this series. They really channeled into that part of the Vision Quest story really well. And I love the actor. Yeah.
and the way they worked in the woodpecker instead of like a wolf or something, like they had a woodpecker,
It was the owl. Yeah, instead of the owl, it was a woodpecker. Yeah.
Which I mean, like it does tie in. Like they really one of the kind of complaints about Vision Quest is that Mack didn't really adhere to actual indigenous lore and kind of made up his own stuff, and like they kind of wanted to actually use real
like folklore, like
real Choctaw
folklore.
Choctaw folklore. So yeah, they worked in the woodpecker, and I thought that was cool. You know what I mean? I understand, and I'm native indigenous blooded myself. I got Apache and Cherokee blood, so I was really endeared to the show for that reason. It was cool to have some representation for that side of my lineage.
And that was like her pretty much her animal, right? The woodpecker. Every time she'd see the woodpecker, that meant, you know, it was telling her something, right? So I liked it. I thought it was good, and fuck, woodpecker's not a bad animal.
I mean, it was adorable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're cute. And like I said, she has a great smile. It's too bad she didn't get to smile more in this series.
Yeah, like
I rewatch it. I literally, I think she only smiles twice in the entire series, man.
Well, there's a couple times where she does these kind of really funny jokes at her uncle, and like she doesn't quite smile, but she kind of does like a really cutesy face at him. And I kind of wish that they would have played on her softer side a little more on the show, because I mean she was such a tough but adorable character in the comics, and I think that this actress could have pulled it off. I think that she had it in her, and I don't think that they kind of wrote her perfectly. I think that like Spanky said, I think that they didn't have too much faith in the show, and I think that they kind of rushed it, and I kind of wish that they took a little more time. But like,
well,
for what it is.
When I was talking with Spanky, he said it was supposed to be 6 episodes, and I think episode 5 like dove into like backstories of some of the other characters, and I think they cut the whole thing out. Because it was supposed to be 6 episodes, and they cut one whole episode completely out and made it a 5-episode series instead.
Okay, well, it feels like it, so that makes sense.
And for Daredevil Born Again, I looked it up earlier. Now that we're talking about Daredevil and stuff, it was scheduled to release in 2024, but because of the writers' strike, they stopped production.
Okay,
and they started up again. So so it's going to be released in 2025. Yeah.
Oh well. Well, I mean, I'm gonna watch it. I mean, I know I know that a lot of people are losing faith and stuff, and like I will admit that it's becoming patchy and hit or miss, but like there's still some pretty cool stuff coming out from the MCU, in my opinion, man. I'm not ready to fucking call it quits.
I love a lot of the Netflix stuff, so I'm happy they're coming out with this whole Marvel Spotlights, because maybe it'll give us more of that like Netflix style stuff, which I really loved. Because out of the other series, I think, what did I like? She-Hulk was all right, which rumors are now, what's her name, dropped a tweet. They won't be doing a second season of She-Hulk because they just can't afford the budget. They say the budget's too costly for She-Hulk. So She-Hulk is pretty much done, squashed, I guess. So, and what did I like? I liked Werewolf by Night, and that's pretty much sums up what I liked. I had high hopes for Moon Knight, and I was lukewarm for that one. It was okay. It wasn't great. So yeah, man, the Disney Plus stuff I haven't been the biggest fan of.
Yeah, I liked Winter Soldier and Falcon. That was cool.
Yeah, I like that one. Actually, that one was pretty good. I enjoyed that one. A lot of people shit on it, but I thought it was pretty good.
I like What If. I like She-Hulk, and I like Moon Knight was good. Moon Knight was okay. I feel about pretty much the same way about Moon Knight as you do. And and then this was cool. And then I like all that weird shit that they put out on Hulu that I don't think is canon, like Runaways and Hellstrom. And
but that was done before Disney, right? So that's outside of the D plus.
They were done in concert. That's why they were on Hulu. But like I think that they were thinking that they could work them in at some point alongside the Netflix stuff, because it was made along the same deal as the Netflix stuff was. Disney did own it, but I don't think they were thinking about doing shows yet. You know what I mean? Like I think they were still thinking that they could do smaller characters, because I think that a lot of that stuff was on the heels. They were still like doing Agents of Shit at that time. I mean, Agents of Shield, which is probably one of their worst things they ever did for TV, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Well, man, thank you.
Well, I mean, it's not horrible, right? I mean, it definitely has some good stuff in it. Like if you've read Vision Quest, you'll see a lot of stuff in there that kind of reflects Vision Quest. Like I said, like the relationship with her father and stuff like that. It would have been fuck. I would have, people go bonkers about cameos and shit. It would have been kind of cool if you had a little dream sequence where you see a Wolverine silhouette or something. That would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, especially with the stinger at the end of Captain Marvel, since they're playing with that. Like you said, they didn't have to show them. They could have just like showed a shadow.
A silhouette. Yeah, showed a shadow, a silhouette with the hair. Yeah, people would have recognized it right away, Yeah.
Yeah, like that Star Wars poster with little Anakin with the shadow of Darth Vader, like something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, whatever. It's like you said, it's nitpicking, but the action sequences were great. I thought the choreography and like I said, I don't know how much of her own stunts or actions she did, but I liked it. I thought it looked pretty good. It looked like she did most of her own stunts and stuff. So yeah.
Well, from what I understand, Echo was going to be in the season 4 of Netflix. That's from what I've been told. I don't know if this is true or not, but like before Disney had their whole little freak out thing with Netflix, they were going to go forward and they were going to actually kind of adapt that. And I would have loved to seen how that would have worked out in the old Netflix Daredevil show, like how they would have done the character. Like that was really interesting because I absolutely love Elodie Young's Elektra. That is probably one of the greatest femme fatales brought from paper to life, in my opinion. Like in season 2 of Daredevil, man, Elektra was so badass.
Yeah. That's I have to agree with Phineas about that. I'm looking forward to getting back to the street level Marvel stuff.
For real.
Mm-hmm.
I was so excited for Iron Fist, and I that's one of the things that I kind of hope Marvel does is I kind of hope they retcon and do like a really fun Iron Fist. But like I said, it's kind of patchy and hit and miss. If they do Iron Fist, I would wish they'd do a movie, but like there's no way he's getting a movie. So like he's getting another. If he gets anything, it'll be another show. And I really hope that they get a better actor that can actually fucking fight, because Finn Jones, he's funny and all, but like his kung fu was terrible, man. Like it was, dude. And like, how you gonna play Iron Fist when you can't fight, dog? Like,
yeah.
And it never looked believable.
Bring back some Punisher. Bring back some Jessica Jones.
Well,
like,
yeah,
Jessica Jones was my favorite series on Netflix, man. I love Jessica Jones.
From what I understand, they did hire Kristen Ritter back. Like they got a lot of those.
So she's supposed. But in what form is she gonna get a whole series? Is she just gonna be doing cameos on like, let's say, Daredevil? Like, who knows? I don't know.
I don't know how Disney's gonna pull, like, because you can't do Jessica Jones without her being drunk and horny, unless you're just gonna have her married to Luke Cage. They're gonna like have her kind of the tied down Jessica Jones. But if they're gonna do her proper, she's gonna be dirty girl. That's just how her character is. But I one of my favorite things was her interactions with Daredevil in the Defenders series. I hated the Defenders. I thought that could have been so much better. But the stuff with her and Daredevil, like it should have just been a team up show with the two of them. They were so great together, man.
Yeah. Like Randy says, like, fuck. I mean, it's you're comparing like Legion and Happy. I mean, those are two shows that are hard to beat. I mean, those are shows that take risks, that really go for it, so
singularities. And also they're on crazy channels, man. Like Sci-Fi was trying to be crazy, be cool at that time and do wild stuff, and Legion was on FX, and FX is probably the best for TV shows. I've loved most of their stuff. They did Justified, they did Rescue Me, they did man, so many shows that I love. So, and then actually, to tell you the truth, Legion is my favorite show that was ever had the Marvel title on it, man. Like that is just such a masterpiece. But
It was
it's
good.
singularity, man. Like you can't really you can't really say that like that's an X-Men show because it was its own fucking thing, dude.
It was, but I mean, it does have ties to the comics, man.
But Echo, man, it as a huge fan, as somebody that was actually really excited to hear the character was getting adapted, I am going to say that I'm disappointed with the show, but like I'm happy to have it. You know what I mean? It's a starting place. You know, people know her now. I wish that it was under better circumstances, and I wish that it was in a form that Marvel had faith in. But for what it was, man, there's some good stuff in this show.
Yeah, I think the first 4 episodes really were good, and I think they just kind of missed the landing a little bit, right? And I think that's what it was.
Well, in a weird way, I kind of compare it to the Blue Beetle movie. In a weird way, like the superhero stuff was kind of the worst part of the show. Like I like
for real.
I like the stuff with the family. I like the stuff with her and Kingpin. I think the main, if they would have did the final conflict way better, the show would have a better reputation.
The whole her and Kingpin conflict at the end was very anticlimactic. Like that's what I'm saying. They just didn't stick the landing, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
But as for Disney Plus Marvel shows, like it's not the worst one. Like
no, far from it.
I'd say it's better than Hawkeye. I liked it better than Loki personally. So
I'm not a fan. You know how I feel about Loki. I am not a fan. So
here's how that shows up in other shows, films. Yeah, straight up.
Yeah, she did pound face, and like I don't know, I liked it. I thought.
This is the first thing that this actress has done, and I think that she performed very well. I think that the problems with the character it came from the writing and maybe a little bit of the directing, but I think that she deserves to more. And like at the end of Captain Marvel, they kind of hint that they're putting together a young team, something like Young Avengers or maybe the Champions, and Kamala Khan kind of recruits Kate Bishop, and I'm hoping that Echo gets invited. I would like to see her team up with that goofy bunch and maybe have like a champion show, and maybe build her up and explain her power. And I would be really happy for that and watch it.
Yeah, well now she has a power, so she can join those other kind of super teams if.
Well, and she can.
They really wanted to, which is yeah.
Well, that seems to be the thing that they're doing. Like they're putting together either a Young Avengers or a Champions show. I'm not sure what with Kamala Khan and Kate Bishop, and they also got the Thunderbolts coming out, which sounds fun. If they pull it off, a team book and a team series can be good. I absolutely love the Thunderbolts. I liked both the Kurt Busiek run all the way through. Like so cool, man. And if they do it right, it could be better than the Suicide Squad in the story. And I think the same thing maybe with the Champions of the Young Avengers. Like I think maybe they're gonna have little kid Loki show up in that shit too, which might suck, but whatever. Like we'll see, man. Like that's the thing about comics. Anything is possible, and I'm kind of hoping that they see that with the films too. You know what I mean? Like Kevin Feige has a vision, and it's served so far. Kinda, but like I think that they need to get loose with it a little bit, and I think that they need to not try to. I think that they need to take a little more risks with stuff like Echo, but I think they need to have faith in it. I think that they need to understand that like you gotta.
Not everyone has to be connected to something else. Like all the heroes don't have to know each other. You know?
Yeah, well, that's the problem with that I have with Marvel Comics too, is everything has to lend to the event. You know, all the books, even Moon Knight now with I kind of like the Jed McKay run at first, but like even he is tying in to like all the big events and shit, and it's just like there's no break from it. There's no escape, and I kind of just would like. Something was like that, like you said, like how Guardians, it was just its own fucking thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the third movie, it was just its own thing. It didn't really tie into anything else. It told Rocket's story, and that's basically what it evolved around, was Rocket's backstory. Who is a main part of that team, and it evolved just around that, and I love that. That was great.
And
That
that's
was
what they
like a
tried to
standalone story. Yeah.
and that's what they try to do with Echo, and I appreciate that. And I wish they would have tried a little harder. And to tell you the truth, I really hope that's what they do with Daredevil. I hope Daredevil Born Again is just about him, and
Yeah.
maybe Echo can show up or something like that. But like if they try to, it better be like the Netflix. If they talk about the bigger heroes, they better just like in passing talk about the event. You know what I mean? Because in
Yeah.
Daredevil, that's kind of how they would lightly tie it to the MCU. Is
Mm-hmm.
they would talk about the first Avengers movie in passing, you know what I mean? The event, and they talk about I have tapes of the Hulk, and stuff like that from the event. And
Yeah.
I want more of that, man. But I don't mind the big team stuff too, to tell you the truth. But I kind of would like the TV and the movies to be kind of separate from now on. That would be a neat way to take it, in my opinion.
Well, that's why they're starting this other Marvel's Spotlight, right? It's supposed to be its own thing that's not connected to the bigger MCU movie universe. So let's hope they stick to their word, and that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, I agree. Like the Young Avengers will be the name because I think people will see Champions and not really get it because like it was a short running book every time they try to do it, and I don't think people really understood what the Defenders was either, and the team that they had as the Defenders actually were Defenders in the comics, which is funny, but like the Defenders was like the Hulk, Hercules, and Doctor Strange and shit. Like I think Ghost Riders was in the Defenders. Like
What else was there? Was that Defenders also had the Human Torch in it for a while?
yeah, like the show that they called the Defenders on Netflix should have been called Heroes for Hire, man, since it had Danny Rand and Luke Cage in it. Like,
Yeah.
but
And
Phineas
and
said,
fucking what's her name already was for hire, right? Jessica Jones has already
yeah,
had her thing set up where you can hire her to go. So it would have made perfect sense to call it Heroes for Hire, right? It wouldn't have been a stretch anyway.
but that's the thing. Like nobody knows the Defenders either. But like, yeah, Heroes for Hire is even like more niche. That's just like
Yeah.
Danny Rand, Colleen Wing, Misty Knight, and Luke Cage.
Misty
As
Knight, yeah.
which
Yeah.
man, like those were good characters. Like I miss those shows. I'm glad that they hired most of those people back, but I wish that they would pop up in more of the shows. You know what I mean? It's like they talked about they hired the guy that played Luke Cage back. They got Christian Ritter back. They
Oh
got
yeah, they got the guy who played Luke Cage back.
yeah, Michael, what's his name? Yeah,
Yeah.
he got like a lot of like the only people I heard that didn't really get hired back was the Iron Fist guy. I haven't heard anything about Jones being back.
Yeah. Yeah, it was always a weird lineup. I think Submariner might have been in one of the lineups for Defenders as well.
But as I can remember, I don't think that Daredevil or Iron Fist or Luke Cage or Jessica Jones were ever in any lineups of the Defenders.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
Because they're all usually people that don't play well together. Like Daredevil doesn't team up. You know what I mean? He's like
Not often. No.
If
Jessica
he does,
Jones either.
if he does, it's kind of forced on him, or like he'll work with Spider-Man sometimes, but then like Punisher will show up and be like, Matt, you got to do this with me, otherwise I'm going to murder all these people. And he's like, well, Frank, it's got to be.
Fuck. Fuck, you're putting me between a rock and a hard place here, Frank.
That's why I love their relationship when they team up. You know what I mean? It's always kind of like that. Like, and there's like a weird admiration between the two of them. So
yeah.
That's why I kind of wish that they but Bernthal's Punisher wasn't established. Yeah, he was in Defenders. Like he should have showed up in that.
Yeah, he could have.
That was a mess, though. Like that should.
I don't care if they switch him up. If they recast the Punisher, I liked him. I liked this Punisher, but if they recast another person as Punisher, I won't be completely upset.
My favorite Punisher is no longer with us, man. Ray Stevenson was the best. He played Garth Ennis's Frank Castle perfectly, man. Like he embodied the Punisher Max Punisher, and that's my favorite Punisher. So, like the movie could have been slightly better, but I don't know. I love Punisher Warzone. It's just the perfect like cheese action movie.
Yeah, he's like James Bondish, right? He's always got the ladies.
Oh yeah, and like when he's not hooked up with the superhero, he's got like a regular normie girlfriend that like after he shows him her secret identity, they die off. There was Heather, there was Karen Page. He's always
it's like the kiss of death.
Yeah, like if Daredevil shows you his secret identity, get ready for a coffin, man. You're going down.
Yeah. Black Widow didn't understand that. She kept going back for more.
Oh, they go way back, dude. Like she was probably like Daredevil was probably like the first superhero that hooked up with Black Widow, and like she
Black Widow.
Back.
Yeah.
So like Matt's got to be pretty good. He's got to know the whole Kama Sutra. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, his other senses are heightened, right? So.
Yeah, he's a proper swordsman, as they would call him.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's our Echo episode and our ranting about the MCU.
Yeah. Well, there's no way we could avoid it with the show. I mean, because I'm not gonna lie, I was one of the 5 people that was legitimately excited for it, and I'm not gonna lie, I was disappointed, but there was good things, man, to build off of. Like if they explain the power more and they let her lighten up and show her softer side, maybe in like a team up.
Well,
I think
maybe now they will, right? Because now she's kind of had.
Yeah, she's been through it.
She's been through it, yeah.
And she's
come to peace with her father's death and everything, and kind of everything's kind of come full circle. So maybe now she'll be able to like.
And she's hanging out with her family. She's forgiven her grandmother. She's hanging out with Bonnie and biscuits and stuff like that. So like it's good. She's having family dinner, Fast and Furious style, with at the end. So yeah, I'm hoping that there's something to build off of. It just kind of had a bumpy landing, like we said.
And if she doesn't make it to a bigger team, if she stays within like the street level stuff, she's a great addition, right? Love her character, like.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. If they team her up with with the Miss Marvel from that they have in the Disney Plus, and if they team her up with Kate Bishop, that's going to be a pretty street level team, and she could be like the healer and like a brawler for him, kind of keeping people away from Kate Bishop while she snipes from afar. I mean that's my best guess of what they could do with her, and actually kind of build her as a character is if they team her up with that, because she's pretty young. I mean, I think she's a little older than the other characters, but
but I mean that's all right.
She's supposed to be like what, early 20s, right?
I'd say about that, yeah, early to mid 20s, probably mid 20s, yeah.
I mean, I want to see more of the character.
Well, after seeing that Daredevil fight, who doesn't want more of that, right?
Straight up. And yeah, maybe they can have her show up in Born Again, and they could do the fucking playground fight properly this time. That would be rad. You know what I mean? So yeah,
for sure. Yeah, it should be the Wolverine. Yeah, no nonsense. Gets down to business. Better watch it if you don't have good dental plan. It's gonna be expensive once you meet up with Echo.
Yeah, especially with that foot that she had Graham Greene make for her, man. It's all reinforced and shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Gonna be losing some chiclets.
So in the grand scheme of things, I mean, I don't know if I recommend it, man, to tell you the truth, but
I'll recommend it, but just be prepared that they don't stick the landing. That's all.
Yeah,
that'll be my my recommendation. Yeah. Berserker rage, yeah, for sure. She does go through it.
Yeah. That's our Echo review, and our review of her source material, which, man, like I said, like the comics are so good. If you haven't checked them out, like they're must read stuff. You know what I mean? Like get the Saga Maya Lopez graphic novel that's out right now, trade paperback that's out right now with the 2 story arcs we covered, and you will have a wonderful reading experience with just some glorious art, man. Like good mid 2000s comics, the way they don't really make them too much anymore, sadly.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we're gonna be back on Saturday. We're gonna be doing a weekend episode because of convenience for some of the people that are going to be on. We're going to be doing another episode of My Precious. This time we're going to be talking about 90s gimmick covers, and we're going to go through like the gamut. We're going to talk about die cut. We're going to talk about hollow foil. We're going to talk about, you know, all the gimmicks, man, all the glorious stuff.
I actually have a die cut one here somewhere. Yeah, I won't show them all, but yeah, for sure. Glow in the dark covers, foil embossed. What else? I have one gimmick cover that that I'll be showing on the episode that was a complete flop. Ooh, 2:47 a.m. Shit. So he must be in England or some shit like that if it's that time, right?
Well, Phineas, man, we appreciate having you here, and we hope you have a wonderful day at work. I hope you're not too groggy, and I hope we provided a couple laughs for you, man. And thanks for watching. We really appreciate the conversation, and it was very enlightening. And we're happy that you kind of had similar opinions as us. So, rock on, buddy. I hope to see you again.
Nice. Yeah, London, UK. That's what I thought.
Wildcats, hell yeah! Are you reading the new what's his name, Matthew Rosenberg Wildcats comic? Man, that is a good run. Like, I am legitimately enjoying the hell out of that book. I haven't liked Wildcats since Alan Moore wrote it, but goddamn. All right, Phineas, take care, and yeah, we're off. We'll see you guys on Saturday. Take it easy. Saturday. It's all right for fighting, man. Saturday night.
Yeah.